One. What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Real Ones Canes podcast. He is Brandon O'Doy. I am the Beast, Brian London, and it is episode 29 of this little venture we like to call the Real Ones Canes podcast. And we're coming at you the day after Miami lost to Rutgers in the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl at Yankee Stadium, 31-24, the final. Disappointed. I'm disappointed, Brandon. I'm disappointed. I really thought the way Mario was talking and really putting importance on a postseason game that Miami would come out and really take it to Rutgers, and that didn't happen yesterday. Now, granted, there was a bunch of players not on the team for various reasons, whether it was the portal or going to the NFL or just somehow not in New York. We'll get to that one. And Miami could not stop the run. And when it came down to it, Miami did not do enough to get it done and fell to Rutgers yesterday. What were your thoughts?
Well, I tried to be surprised, couldn't be. This is pretty emblematic of this program and this team for a few years. And so it kind of felt much like similar things, Louisiana Tech a couple of years ago. It just gave you vibes of where this program has been in 20 years. We've talked about it like ad nauseum at this point, so there's no need to regurgitate. But I think immediately you had issues up front as far as the offensive line was concerned. And, you know, we talked about it on this podcast so many times. Matt Lee and Javion Cohen were dudes. And when you took just those two guys out, it made a huge difference. And that is why I have been saying I need to see how these guys are replaced. And the first opportunity for replacement did not go well. They finally figured it out later on. They started to give Jacurri a little bit more time to pass. I didn't care for the game plan with him at all. There's some missed opportunities, but, I was thinking about this morning before, we started podcasting. I thought to myself, well, what are you going to say that's actually new? And I'll just leave it at this for as far as opening comments are concerned. Miami cannot survive bad refereeing in addition to coaching that is like less than stellar. Like anytime those two have been combined this season, it's equal to loss 100% of the time.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. You talked about the two guys missing on the offensive line, and that definitely showed itself, especially when you're trying to run the ball up the middle on 4th and 2, which I thought was pretty vanilla.
That was a bad play call.
Yeah, I didn't like that at all, and we'll get to that in a second. But you're missing a bunch of guys on defense, and that showed, right. Your two pretty stellar safeties were not there. They're going to the NFL, and LT up in the middle, up front, I think showed itself. Listen, Kyle Monangai is one of the best running backs. He led the best. He led the Big Ten in rushing, over 1,000 yards. I don't want to take anything away from that young man. He's really talented. You just couldn't stop the run, and bad tackling in the first half didn't help you either.
The thing is, it's an admirable effort for guys that play corner all season.
Correct. Yeah.
These guys are 100.
No, you had Davis and Jacurri Couch at safety
go
positions.
To a position they've never played, and they looked okay back there. But it's different when you got Cam Kitchens and James Williams coming to the party versus when you got Jaden Davis and Jacurri Couch coming to the party. You're going to pick up a few more yards. Perfect example is that time that the running back literally picked up 10 yards after he was basically being held. And people had to go and try to get behind the foul. You know what I mean? It was a physical game, and Miami just got out physical. I mean, I know that's not a word, and forgive my
No, coaches
education.
use it. Hey, listen, coaches use it all the time, so you can use it. I give you permission.
Okay, so we went to two pretty good universities, so I feel like we have to apologize for using really bad English. But at the end of the day, that's just they got out physical. And the play of the game to me is something Miami's not done this season, which is a special teams blunder. I mean, you cannot allow a punt to get blocked in your own end zone. And this is where sort of, and I don't want to put this on Dylan Joyce, he's a freshman All-American. I've been
Right.
saying he's one of the most valuable players all year, but this is where possibly your lack of American football knowledge hurts. I would much rather him take a knee, give up 2 points in
Take
the
the
end
safety,
zone
yeah.
than give up a touchdown. And you can justify it in every conceivable way. When you try to kick that ball and it gets blocked for a touchdown, and you give up 7 instead of giving up only 2, it kills you. And I don't know what he's coached to do there. And it just everybody knows the Australian punting philosophy takes longer, so it has to be blocked properly. However, one of the reasons coaches like it is because you can set it up to where the protection provide you the length of time that you need. But when you have all these guys playing in places they haven't played beast,
Oh
you
yeah. I
don't
mean,
have live punts. And Rutgers took perfect advantage of it. The broadcasters even said it. It's like they saw something on film, they went after it, and they got it.
for sure. And they were a hair away on the previous punt before that. They almost blocked it.
That should have
So
been a
they,
wake up call because you
yeah,
end up losing by a touchdown. And what was the touchdown? The touchdown is before, and I had to stop watching and go do football hotbed events and other things like that, and then come back and watch it later. But all the chatter on Twitter was Xavier Restrepo blown call, this, that, and the third. Well, why didn't anybody talk about the punt that got blocked? You cannot allow a punt to get blocked. Good teams don't allow that. You can't allow a punt to get blocked in your own end zone and give up free points. You cannot do that.
yeah. I mean, listen, a lot of it comes down to coaching, and we'll get into that. I do listen before we get into more of the negative because there's going to be plenty. I mean, you finished the season 7-6. It is a slight upgrade than it was last year, and what have you. But I need to give two things actually. One, I need to wish the best for Mark Fletcher. Don't know what his injury is. Look pretty serious, even though X-rays were negative. But that young man came in and gave a spark to this offense all year. So we give props and all the prayers and thoughts are to him for a speedy recovery on whatever his injury is. Right. That young man is shown a lot this year. So we want to give all the good vibes to him. But
Yeah,
Brandon,
I need to see
uh,
his father
uh
actually.
yeah. So Brandon, I really thought that Jacurri Brown was going to be an issue yesterday. That he would throw the ball to the other team's hands multiple times. He did it once. Okay, I'll give him one interception. But despite the fact that I didn't like the game plan for him, he played well. He played well within the system. He got out of the pocket when he had to. He completed some tough passes. He should have had a touchdown in the first play of the game. That one was or the Canes' first play of the game. That one was basically right in the basket of a wide open Jacoby George streaking down the field that got dropped. That would have been a touchdown.
Yeah.
Jacurri Brown wasn't your problem
Well,
yesterday.
Jacoby George
And
had a Jacoby,
yeah,
Jacoby George
yeah,
had
yeah,
a nightmares game. I would have preferred him actually be benched because he
one
just was
thousand
not in the right
percent.
headspace to play
Yeah,
football.
we'll talk about what they have to do with that young man in the offseason. But Jacurri Brown, I mean, he did his job yesterday.
I think he deserves his own segment, but I'll just say this: at the end of the day, he proved that again, he deserved more opportunities during the season. I don't know what I don't know. I There's just no way a guy plays like that after having not played since literally the previous season early on, and he's not at least given the opportunity given what we saw to Tyler Van Dyke. There's just no way. There's just no way, no conceivable way. And then you go and burn, Emory's red shirt. Like I don't know what I don't know, but it's what I feared. it's what I feared beast because I didn't want to see good things from Jacurri and have to question his coaching staff, who I like. I didn't want to see that. But again, I will say this publicly. I don't know what I don't know. I don't know how he is in the locker room. I don't know how he is preparing. I don't know if he could be counted on as a teammate. But I know physical attributes. I know throwing the ball. I know running the ball. I know getting. I mean, that last series was atrocious. I don't know how you don't take any shots. I don't know who you blame that on. But again, Jacurri looked the part. And hopefully he stays. Because I mean, why is he not worth a chance against North Carolina State? Or I just don't get that.
And I really felt like he we saw him start some games last year. He is a much better quarterback than he was
Way
last year.
better.
Yeah, he showed some nuance in his game with some of the play fakes, some of the actions they had.
Where's the stuff coming from that he can't throw the ball? Like we got to get rid of that. He threw a dot to Jacoby, who dropped it. He was on target with Restrepo. I mean, any throws that he didn't make, I'm just blaming on the fact that dude hadn't played football all season. Like he just took the season off. So I mean, like I'm gonna be super fair with it. He only threw one pick.
Yeah. Against a very good defense. Rutgers is a very good defense. They are. So
Shiano's defenses speak for themselves, but
right.
At the end of the day, I saw a lot to like from him.
Yeah, for sure. Real quick, Xavier Restrepo, I don't know if you saw it, announced about an hour ago when we're taping this that he is coming back. He's running it back. X is coming back. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, they targeted him too much and Tyler looked for him too much. And that could have been true. But also, he is consistently really good. He catches the ball and he balls out. So thank you, X, for coming back.
Can I give you another take on that? I was talking to a buddy of mine who's a very talented receiver coach, and he said one of the reasons Restrepo got the ball so much is because he has route consistency. So it means that when he gets assigned a route, he's going to do it the same way every single time. So there's no variation. You know exactly where he's going to be. So it's so much easier to connect with him because he's not going to freelance on route running. He's going to be in the same place. He's going to take the same amount of steps. He's going to come out of the break when he's supposed to. He's going to do those things. And when you're a quarterback and you have at least one guy that's always going to do it right, especially on third down when you got to have a play, he's going to get targets. But, Restrepo, 1,000 yards. A lot of people don't realize Kobe Young had almost 800. It wasn't like, he was the entire offense. He wasn't. He was just a big piece of the offense. I think his decision, while I'm thrilled that he's coming back, I think it's a curious decision because do you know something we don't know, Zay? Like, who's going to be the quarterback?
Yeah, no. Next segment, we're going to get into that quarterback position and the future of it.
Because are you going to be able to go out to the NFL on another 1,000-yard season with a quarterback we don't even know who? Like, we don't even know who. Maybe he does. But, I mean, as much as I'm excited and elated that he's back, like, is this a good move?
Well, selfishly, right, for this program, I think it's a good move because I'm not gonna
veteran wide receiver.
Right, yeah.
I mean, and he had a lot of injury-ridden years. He probably had 2 years where he basically didn't play at all.
Correct.
So it's fair. I mean, he's not overextending his football self. Like he's had rest. I mean, this will be really his third full season coming up. It won't be like he's played all of these years that he's been in college. I'm excited to have him back. It's a veteran. It's awesome for whoever you're bringing in. But the question remains, like, I don't know if you can be as productive because we don't know who the quarterback's going to be.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Another thing I want to get into, and this was all, I listened to a bunch of other podcasts. I was going through Twitter late last night, this morning. And even though I don't think it necessarily cost Miami the game yesterday, although they certainly could have used some better management in the final 3 minutes to have some more time once they got the onside kick. But hindsight is 2020. Just the whole game management, game planning, all of that, to me, It needs to be better. That's the bottom line. It just needs to be better. They needed to have a better offensive game plan going into yesterday. They did some curious things. We talked about the 4th and 2, running it up the middle. And then the clock management, the time management. You're taking 2 timeouts into your spring football. I mean, that's basically what's happening. And they kind of putzed away some time in the first half as well. It just needs to get better. And this has kind of been the criticism of Mario since he's been a head coach, right? It's gone from job to job to job, and he hasn't really improved it. And I'm just wondering if someone has the cojones to take him aside in the offseason. Hey, man, you need to look in the mirror too. You're telling all these players they need to look in the mirror. You need to look in the mirror.
I have a first of all, you're right. I want to affirm you in that. I have a little bit of a different viewpoint in that, and we deal with this here in the church, and in every organization has it. Every individual has something, and our senior minister says this all the time. Everybody has a deficit.
Yeah.
A deficit means, as great as you are, there's something that you just don't do well. And so when we're in service and you're in the church, like, you have to consistently be mindful of that, because there are things and processes that happen here, like with feeding the homeless or just various ministries with education. And you probably have them at, your temple, wherever you worship.
Yeah, of course.
Like, everybody has stuff. Everybody with people involved has something about the people involved that they have to look out for. Or because if they don't, they may be great at organizing, but they are not good at people, like good people. Like, they need help being softer and nicer. So at the end of the day, I think it's a situation where this is Mario's deficit. Like, this is Mario Cristobal's deficit. He's not the greatest great game manager. And I think that's super fair. Okay. So I would more focus and concentrate on being better in every other area of strength and making game management problems. Because you have to remember, game management only comes into play when games are really tight. You know what I mean? And what can help coaches overcome, coaching problems? Great players. Great players make great coaches. And Mario, for everything that anybody wants to criticize him about, is an amazing recruiter. And so, with given the time that he needs, I see Mario Cristobal bringing the kind of people into this program that are going to make Miami one of the most competitive operations for football that we've ever seen. And so, at the end of the day, what I'm saying, and my overall point is that, this is a deficit as a coach, and all these coaches have had. Manny Diaz had deficits. Mark Rick had deficits. Randy Shannon, Al Golden had deficits, and we talked about them, and they were well understood. So my focus would be, if I were, the University of Miami, I would improve in the areas where you're weak and you need to improve, but I would also look to be even stronger in your areas of strength. Because if you bring in better players, close games. You just are. And, as great as a coach that Nick Saban is, he doesn't have a play for 4th and 32. And a dude he recruited went out. 2 dudes he recruited went out and made those plays. And they made him look amazing for almost losing to a terrible Auburn team that lost to New Mexico State. So at the end of the day, that's the thing that I feel, should be focused on. Because you can't tell me this guy isn't self-aware and he's not trying to fix game management problems. I just don't believe that. He's too smart, works too hard. I think it's just a deficit. We all have them, and it's got to be addressed by strengthening every other area of strength, and then it'll be a lot less noticeable. We don't get to the point of not taking a knee at Georgia Tech if we don't turn the ball over and throw ridiculous interceptions. We just never get there. Those are facts. We don't get to, needing to come back, and needing to call the right timeouts at the right time with a minute 30 something in Yankee Stadium last night if you don't give up a punt block for a touchdown. Like, or you don't play a kid all year long and expect them to come out and win a bowl game. Like,
but listen, college football, you're going to be in close games, and the little
you're gonna
things
be in
matter.
close games.
The
You're
little
gonna be
things
in
matter.
close
So
games.
a
But
mismanagement
but
here and a
but I would just say
mismanagement there
this:
can
look,
cost you a game.
Cristobal won close games this year. He won 2 overtime games.
Yeah, no, I
He beat
agree.
Clemson, and I forget the other game. Like he can win a close game. It's just every game isn't gonna come down to a game management thing. He can win close games. He's just not gonna win every close game. And you got to know that going in. No coach will.
So Greg Schiano and Rutgers got the best of the mentor, got the mentee. Rutgers wins their first game ever against the University of Miami. I was obviously heavy involved in a lot of those Big East matchups back in the day with Rutgers and Miami. Rutgers was a different program back then. They were, however many there was 120 programs in Division 1A. They were about 119 with Temple being 120. So it's different now, but. That hurt me a little bit. That hurt me that Rutgers beat Miami, but it's a bowl game, and you'd like to win it, but in the end, I think the big picture is you move on. You move on into the offseason. You move on to try to find a quarterback. You move on to try to get your roster right and everything else right, and we'll see what happens there. All right. We are going to take a break. Before we take a break, though, we got to let you know, please subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast, whether it's Apple, Amazon, Spotify, all of those places. The YouTube channel is crack-a-lackin', so go hit up the YouTube channel if you're listening and not watching. And if you're watching, you saw me get up because my dog was causing a ruckus, and I had to go straighten that out for a second. But it's okay. Marley and Mello are good now, so we'll let them do their thing, and we'll be back on the other side. We're going to get into the offseason starts now, and Miami doesn't have necessarily QB1 yet. We'll have to talk about that. We'll get into more of the Jacurri Brown situation. Where does he fit in? Emory, all of that stuff and more. It is the Real Ones Canes podcast. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Real Ones Canes podcast on the Beast Bride London. He is Brandon O'Doy. Do us a big favor. Listen, maybe you're new to the whole podcasting game. Maybe you're watching us on the YouTube because you're familiar with that. But there are these things called podcasts. You can listen to us as you drive your car around the roads of South Florida or wherever you may be. We actually have listeners all over the world, Brandon. I've checked the audience engagement situation, and man, we have a couple people over in England listening, some people up in Canada listening, all over. There's Canes fans everywhere, and wherever they may be wanting to listen to us talk about Canes football. Go do that by subscribing to the podcast, Amazon, Apple, Spotify, Yahoo, wherever you get your podcasts is where you can find the Real Ones Canes podcast. So go do that. And if you're listening, go subscribe to the YouTube channel. Brandon, do you know who QB1 is next for the University of Miami next year, or is this still a question mark?
No, I have no idea who QB1 is. And I don't think anyone does. And it's a question mark, and a very big question mark. And I'm trusting in Mario Cristobal and this coaching staff to close the deal on this. I think what people need to understand is this coming weekend, not this weekend, but next weekend, is the transfer portal window visitation date. And I think if you don't have a quarterback by the beginning of that January 3rd, January 5th timeframe, you're going to see somebody coming in here to take a visit, and they're going to start trying to lock something down. And there are still quarterbacks getting into the portal.
Yeah, for sure.
Because bowl games are ending. This isn't the first line, so everybody needs to just take a deep breath. This is a different group of guys, but there are guys with experience. One of the guys that has been mentioned is the backup quarterback at Arizona. There have been some other guys who've jumped in, and hey, listen, it's an intriguing situation. You're going to have, I was told by the staff to trust the offensive line that they're going to put out next year. Now, that's hard to do when you have a situation where You're thinking like, look at last night. That offensive line didn't inspire me to trust anything. But you've got some guys who are possibly coming back, you know, and who are going to, basically make their presence known. I didn't like the lineup last night. I didn't like the replacements. But again, those were some of the names that were left off of the names I was told to trust. So I want to say that to Canes fans, names I was given in confidence didn't play last night. So basically saying that line isn't going to look like the line you're probably going to see against the University of Florida.
I mean, you brought in your starting center. He didn't play yesterday. That's a big part of it through the transfer portal, and you got some other guys you're going to move into spots too. I don't think we're going to see Mario's nephew lining up to start next year. So
yeah, I mean, Louis Cristobal, he's probably not a part of the equation. He's a good depth piece.
sure,
I mean, let's give them credit. They haven't played at all, and they
yeah,
played
of course,
decently later in the game, especially. A running quarterback's a little bit different than blocking for a pocket passer.
sure.
There are some nuances there. Um, and I just think you have to be, and that's kind of the danger with being sort of closer to the program. You're not as quick to pull triggers because you know a few other things that other folks aren't privy to. But I will say the offensive line, definitely needs to be addressed. But that's not the line you're going to see. Quarterback wise, beast. I mean, how much more can you entice someone? You're going to have Jacoby George, Xavier Restrepo, Isaiah Horton. Basically, Miami starting five comes back with the exception of Kobe Young. I don't know what's going on with Brashad, but then even if Brashad doesn't come back, I don't think it makes a big difference because you've got Josiah Trader, Chance Robinson, and Nye Carr, three of the best incoming freshman receivers that you can have. You already have on the bench um, Robbie Robinson, who came in the last class, and Ray, who basically showed that he's got some wiggle and can do some things. He's been in the program for a year. Hasn't been, super exciting, but there's potential there. He's going to have a full year in the program going into next season. So with that, a rebuilt line, and provided Mark Fletcher comes back without being seriously injured. I just texted Dad during the show, wanted to show my compassion and love for a kid. It just looked like he planned it wrong. He was hopping the whole time. It did not look good. But there's still AJ Allen. There's still Parrish. You get Jordan Lyle, the true freshman who comes in. Javonte Citizen is apparently back healthy and available. There's a lot to like on offense. All you have to do is say to a quarterback, look, you want to play with these guys? I mean, these guys are pretty good. They basically went 8 and whatever. And essentially, this offense can be good at times. It can be bad. We've seen good and bad, Shannon Dawson. But it's more good than bad. And I would like to say that some of the bad had something to do with the people who were throwing the football. So I don't know. That's my thoughts on it, Beast. Where do you lie on this thing?
Yeah, so here's I'm trying to read everything I can about the situation. I'm digging in deep articles, trying to read the tea leaves on the quarterback situation. It seems like Will Howard is trying to go between USC and Ohio State. That's what it looks like there. You brought up Jaden DeLaura, who's the quarterback from Arizona. By the way, Jed Fish, props to him. He's got something going on out there. But Jaden DeLaura was a guy that transferred to Arizona from Washington State. He's a kid from Hawaii, pretty good pocket passer. He got hurt, and the kid that took over never gave up the job.
Said, yeah. No, you're never going back in.
Yeah, so he's available. As it relates to Cam Ward, I think, he only took 2 visits, right? It was Miami, Florida State, and that's it.
And he's holding both of these programs hostage.
But and so for him, it's either Miami, Florida State, or it's going to the NFL, which I don't know if that would be the best decision either. But these kids get all sorts of different information. There's all sorts of people in their ears Who knows what he's being told? So that's what it looks like. As for the kid from was it Arkansas? I don't know if he's on the
KJ Jefferson.
yeah, I don't know
Yeah,
if he's out there. I think they really missed an opportunity with the kid from Texas going to Duke. Manny Diaz got himself a good one there. Good for him. Good for Manny Diaz. Trying to build something up at Duke for sure. So I don't know. All I know is this. Let's bring it back here, right? So right now on scholarship, Miami has Emory and Jacurri, right? We think Emory's going to be back for spring. You don't really know how these things are going to heal, but let's just say that he's going to be back for spring. I saw enough from Jacurri last year. I want him to come back. I want him to be involved in the program, right? I don't know what he's thinking. These young men have till January 2nd to put their name in the portal. You'd like to think that the coaching staff is saying, "Hey, look at what you can do if you're the guy."
I would bet my tennis shoes he's going to get into the portal unless he is very well taken care of. Because at some point you want to just play. That's the thing about being a quarterback.
All right, so
he can
all
go
right.
play at
All I'm saying is, from my perspective, I don't know what he's going to do, and he might go into the portal. I would be, if he said I'm coming back, I would welcome that. That's what I'm trying to say.
And I got that. But do you? Let's talk structurally here, because it's not hypothetical. At some point, it's real life. Emory's probably not going to be ready to take the snap against University of Florida. No. Why not go all in on Jacurri and just go grab another high school quarterback? You know what I mean? Who's maybe a late bloomer, or take a JUCO kid, or and just put it in his hands.
Here's what I've seen about college football and the NFL and every level of football. As the game has changed and quarterbacks are putting themselves in more and more in a position where they might get dinged up because they're running and they're doing things outside of the pocket, and offensive lines and defenses have gotten better, and blitzing has gotten more complicated, and quarterbacks are getting hit. You need a bunch of them. You need more than one quarterback. You need more than two quarterbacks, okay?
Florida State needed three.
Florida State needed three, and by the way, their guy is in the portal now. I don't know about what's going on.
What's going on up there?
We can do a whole show on Tallahassee. We'll leave that to next time, because they've got problems. And I'm heading over to the Orange Bowl headquarters today. I'm gonna go get some info over there. I'll be covering the Orange Bowl tomorrow. But you just need to bring in quarterbacks, and it would be a big issue if the University of Miami did not pull a veteran in out of the portal. And not just some guy to be a backup, but a guy that can either push Emory or Jacurri for the starting job, or be a guy that has a ton of experience. You need a guy with a ton of experience to come in through the portal.
Do that? When are you going to do that? These time's running out. When are you going to do that?
I don't have that answer. This is why we are having this conversation now, because I am perplexed at why there has been no addition of a portal quarterback yet.
It's not so much the guy coming out of the portal. It's the guy coming in with the ability to lead this team. I saw enough in the guy. And like, if you're literally not going to get Cam, why take a risk on going to grab somebody else? Why just not build through what you got? You got a lot coming back. You got a guy that's been in that locker room for 2 years. Just build around him. What you got to lose?
So let me ask you this question:
he hangs his hats on being this great quarterback developer. You got an Emory who showed a lot of promise, who won games, coming back off an injury. Jacurri won games as a true freshman. So now you got two kids with ability. They're two different styles of quarterbacks. They both won games as true freshmen, and they're both at your disposal at the start of spring camp.
So let me ask you this question.
You got Judd Anderson that's coming in spring, maybe in the spring, summer one, whatever. I haven't looked to see when he's coming in. And just go grab another guy. Go grab another scholarship quarterback. Let's move on with our lives.
So
we got Xavier Restrepo, 1,000-yard receiver. Listen to me. I'm giving you a really long answer for a reason. Like, what sense does it make to keep You're gonna go out and reach, pay a guy, and have to play him because, dude, like that Bama bamboozle. We want Tyler in the portal foolishness. Let's pay him a bunch of money to stay and let's keep him out there. Oh, we paid him all this money. We got him a BMW. No, don't do that twice. Give Jacurri 250. Say, hey man, you redshirted. You got 3 years left. You showed us enough. Let's get behind him. Come on, I'm telling you something real. You're laughing.
No, I know that, but I wanna get you to give me the gift I want, which is this. Right now, would you tell Cam Ward, hey, go do what you're gonna do? We're good. We got Jacurri, we got Emory, we got Judd coming in.
Absolutely.
So you're ready to say, hey Cam, no more games. We got our guys. We're good.
You ain't gotta say nothing. You just gotta move on. You ain't gotta return that text. Do what you do, buddy. We're good, bro. Like, yeah, you're lighting it up, but see, and can we introduce this because we haven't really talked about this. So there are all these comparisons being made with Mario Cristobal and Manny Diaz. They're posting records. You know, they did this to Jimbo. Right. You know what I mean? So a lot of this is, man, year 3 is it.
For sure.
Year 3, bro. You know, you get a big salary, and this is what, this is Tyler from Spartanburg calling in, or from wherever he was from, to Dabo. Like, why are we paying you? You see what I'm saying?
But the difference,
that dude's the MVP. Dabo started winning. They should retire that dude. That dude should get a salary from Clemson for the remainder of his life. He should get $50,000 to $60,000 a year. I'm putting this on record. Retire that man. Because look, I think he was a little bit disrespectful. I think the way he approached it, but he lit a fire under that coach. He lit a fire under that dude. He lit a fire. Can you admit that? He lit a fire under Dabo.
Tyler from Spartanburg needs to go up in the Clemson Ring of Honor.
He's got, man, put that dude on the wall in that place. He turned that program around. They went 8-4 this year. They finished with
we need to get Joey from Davie or Rodrigo from Hialeah. Somebody needs to get on the coach's show. Oh wait, they don't take calls anymore. So, but yeah, I see where you're going. Here, I need to disagree with you on this situation. Okay, I like
disagree with me.
I like the
about Tyler Van Dyke. So
yeah, I know, but listen, I have a blind spot there. But you're willing to cut Cam Ward loose. You're willing to close down portal. We're looking for QB1 in the portal.
I don't
have. I get it.
Like, cut him loose. He's not mine. He won't get in the camp. He won't get in the car.
You got Jacurri, you got Emory. Those are QB1A, QB1B. Judd Anderson's coming in. We'll find somebody else and let's roll. That's great. I don't see it that way. When we roll into the swamp in Gainesville next year on August 31st, I want somebody that has been through some big time football games on the road, big time situations, won some games for some other programs, has a little bit of hair on his chest, has 2-3 years under his belt, and could go into the swamp and not be intimidated by 90,000 Gator fans. That's what I want. And I know Emory played in big games. He played against Clemson. I understand that. He went up to Florida State to that situation and he got hurt. I get that. But I just want somebody that literally has all the moxie in the world walking into the swamp because I've been here and I've done that. That's what I want. Maybe that's not going to happen, but that's what I want.
Okay, mister, this is what you want. Okay, let's do this.
You're about to let me have it.
A big-time quarterback to go into the swamp, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm just giving you facts.
Yeah, let's go.
Cam Ward, let's talk about the wins he has. He has a win against Colorado State.
Yep.
Wisconsin.
University
of Northern Colorado. And his best win is beating Oregon State. He also beat Colorado. Talk about big-time teams. Well, he lost to Washington. He
He did,
lost to
yep.
Cal. He lost to
Yep.
Stanford. He lost to Oregon State. He lost to Oregon. He lost to Arizona. And he lost to UCLA. So in his conference, he beat one team. And I don't even know how the game went. But, well, no, it looks like he had a big game. He threw for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. But he had one big game, and he wet the bed almost in almost every other circumstance except against Oregon, where he threw for 438 and had 70% completion rate. He was 82% completion against Oregon State. So he had some moments, but he ain't Dan Marino, and he ain't Cameron Newton, and he ain't Lamar Jackson. He's just a better version of a guy that you've not really seen at this position, but you don't have him, Beast. And he's holding you hostage. And while you're waiting on him to jump in, you could be getting other capable ability people, namely in your own locker room, to lock in, and you just say, let's freaking go. You got Jordan Lyle. You got Mark Fletcher. Hopefully he's not serious. You got Henry Parrish. You got Trevante Citizen. You got CJ. You got a Jay Allen. You got a rebuilt offensive line with the guy coming in from Indiana. You got guys on the outside. You got Nycart, Josiah Trader, Chance Robinson to join, Xavier Restrepo, Jacoby George, Isaiah Horton, Ray Ray. You got dudes. You even got Isaiah Lofton coming in from Bishop Gorman to try to ignite this tight end room. You got Ruben Bain, Armando Blunt coming in. You got defensive tackles. You've got 2 defensive tackle portal guys coming back. You're gonna get Mesidor back. Your linebacking core that was good comes back. We didn't talk about Weston Bissaint. Hopefully he's healthy, but you've got depth behind him. You've got great corners. You got Porter. You got possibly Davis coming back. I haven't seen he's declared. You've got good situations. You've got Williams, who played, very well last night at the safety position, corner position, and hadn't played pretty much all season, number 15.
Yeah, Marquise Williams.
You got guys that are, coming in. Zaquan Patterson. You've got dudes. Justin Scott, defensive lineman, freshman, who should play some from Chicago, 5-star. Like, this is not a bad situation here. But in going into Gainesville is not intimidating. You got Billy Napier, who's on his last leg. The guy will be fired, halfway in between the season before it's over if he doesn't make some major changes. And I think, again, that's another situation of a great guy, great personality, just hasn't figured it out at this level. And I think Mario's way ahead of that. I think Norvell's way ahead of that. It's just, coaching college football at a high level is not easy to do. But this quarterback situation, I wouldn't let it hijack. No way. Cam's taking way too long. I would have already moved on. I would have gone and gotten DJ Uyunglele. I mean, the other guy who's like 1B for Florida State. I'm kind of confused as why they're not just locking DJ in. I would lock DJ in here at Miami. Played at Clemson, played at Oregon State, had a great year. I don't get it.
I'm not obsessed.
Call his dad Dave right now. Like, hey, come on. Let DJ come on. We got a great, Polynesian culture here at the University of Miami. Fit right in. We got the Goas. We got, a lot of, we got good stuff going on here in Miami. It's a great atmosphere.
I am not obsessed with Cam Ward. I'm not Cam Ward or bust.
No, I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying I'm ready to
like if it was DJ,
all
DJ would
writers want to do is talk about this guy.
Well, no, but I'm saying like if it was DJ, if it was I would take. There's a bunch of kids out there. I just want a dude that has been through some battles to come in here. But listen, if you're telling me you feel good if they make it to next year and it's Jacurri and Emory 1A 1B, battle it out.
I feel good. It's like at some point you got to be who you say you are. If Shannon Dawson, if you're a QB developer, then be that. I like what he did with Emory. I didn't like his game plan for Jacurri, but I mean, who knows what we don't know? We just don't know if those two guys vibe. I don't know what I don't know in that situation. I'm sure stuff will come out, but I'm not. Listen, man, this is too big of a question mark. Lock some guys in and let's roll. Like this team, it doesn't. We don't need a world beater quarterback for this team to go 9-10 wins. Nobody's winning a national championship next year. But I mean, can you have a special enough season to get into 12? Possibly. Can you be top 12? Possibly. Yeah.
If you
with a 1 or 2 loss season.
If you can take a few knees and call a few timeouts and not get a punt blocked and some of that stuff. Hey, Brandon, I know you got a lot going on. You got your football hotbed, middle school games just going nuts, man. You got 8 million things going on. So we're gonna wrap this one up next week after the new year. We might have a little more insight on this portal situation. As you said, it opens back up here in a little bit. We're in a dead spot right now. No visits can take place. So next week, you and I will reconnect and talk about that. Plus, I think we need to really drum down on this season. Maybe do a nice little season recap and kind of go over the good, the bad, and the ugly from the second year of the Mario Cristobal organization. So we will do that as well. So let's get out of here. Let's welcome X back to the U. We're glad he's running it back. Let's hope that Wesley and Mark heal up nice and quick. We want that to happen. And we'll see what happens in the next week. There could be a lot of news, and we'll bring it to you next time. So we will get out of here. Hey, go subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Amazon, Apple, Spotify, all of that stuff. Go to the YouTube channel. Go subscribe there as well. I'll let Brandon go do 8 million jobs that he has. I will head over to the Orange Bowl headquarters, see if I can pick up some info on Florida State and Georgia, and we will check you next time. It is the Real Ones Canes podcast. Peace.